Hello everyone, my name is El Parnaso and in today's video I'm gonna show you clean 40 yummy against Slop 60 yummy. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and share the channel with your people so we can grow. Also remember that I will still be updating the best yummy Fiends masterclass with the information that I used to won the national championship and almost go to Worlds making top 8 in the Continental Championship. It already has over 5 hours of content that will eventually become 6, eventually will become 7, and even 8 hours of content, all for just $20. So give it a shot and let's begin. So here, luckily for me, I'm gonna win the dice roll, and obviously because my opponent is playing 60, of course he's going to draw Hawakiri, Kapsi, and the Fuwa, right? With me having no answer to the Fuwa whatsoever. And here is when one thing that I wanted to discuss is that how triple tactical talents is the worst joker in your deck, because the assumptions for this card to actually be useful in most cases is the shits. For example, here my opponent is going to decide to use the Fuwa in the standby phase, which means that I can answer directly to my opponent still with my talents. So I am forced just to play the game. I am going with the Marshmallow just to put it in the graveyard already. And here I'm going with the Snatchy. I'm gonna give him the draw. Of course, he's going to draw yet another engine card in Wanted, because obviously this is what happens when you play 60 card deck, right? But you know, it is what it is. So here I'm going with the Mignon. I'm just not trying to. I know that some people may say that here I could have just go straight with the Akruki. However, I just want to see if my opponent is willing to waste some cards whatsoever, because if my shit resolves, I am getting the Akruki in my opponent's turn anyways, and I still have like a lot of ways to play if he decides to do anything in any of these choke points, right? In any of these developments. So just trying to double check, just trying to make sure. Here then I'm deciding to giving yet another draw, and I'm going for the Kapsiyami way, right? So here obviously he is like, well, at least he didn't draw in any hand traps and somewhat redundant, but you know, having the Hawakiri already is kind of fuck, right? So he's going to ash me. I am deciding to bounce back just so I can have a straight way to play. And here, and also because now the Marshmallow will give me the Akruki. I am deciding to do it this way because now that he's wasting yet another card, I thought that, especially when he's a Slop 60 card deck, I am not sure what he's playing right now, but I just wanted to have like my interruptions ready, because now that the Ash Blossom was activated during my main phase, I can finally use my triple tactical talents, right? So after using the talents, I can just telegraph what I can pop this trade or what I can set or whatever, right? Because of the hand information. Sadly, the only thing this talents is going to do, as you can see here watching my opponent's hand, is to realize that, you know, I'm losing already, right? Like this Widow Anchor is going to be activated before the main phase, therefore my Snatch is just going to be straight up negated. Which means that I can use the Akruki for absolutely nothing, and I only have a stupid Gospel, which against all of this is basically useless, right? So I'm just deciding to concede the duel because, you know, it is what it is. As you can see by these replays, I lose a lot of single ones. So, you know, that's just the game. The whole Yu-Gi-Oh match is 2 out of 3. So don't get tilted for losing game 1 or single 1. And most importantly, don't use that as a mediocre excuse to tell yourself that you should have won if something didn't happen, if something happened differently, okay? You lose single 1, who gives a shit? Just play the game and do your best. So I am going first again, so hopefully we do it better, right? Oh. So here I have the Ash and I have 2 of the same Yami names. Like, sadly I drew the Fuwa, but you know, it is what it is. My opponent has yet another good hand here with the Droplet and the Ghost Bell and 3 good engine cards. the two best yummies going second, and something to search the Habakiri. So here I am deciding to go with normal Fuwa. Here I think I know that some of you may say that it was better to normal summon the cookie and try to see if he has the double Fuwa, because yes, I can negate one, but if he has another one, like what the fuck I do with my normal Fuwa, right? I still will need to go with the Almirage and then giving more draws, right? So I think that could have been better. I was just not gonna lie. I was just kind of tilted about my opponent, having the Capsi, the Habakiri, the Fugu, and blah blah blah. We are all humans here. So I think I made a mistake here. I think I should have go with a normal cookie in case my opponent actually have two Fugualos. Because if I just go with the normal development of my combo, I can then just discard the Fuwa and use the Marshmallow as an extender, right? So I think that was a mistake. My opponent didn't have the Fuwa though, so I'm just going with my usual shit. Like, I'm just going to straightforward this. Like, if you saw the masterclass and the logic of the combo and the whole section with the Almirage, you will know what is happening here. Is nothing unusual. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. All of this. Blah 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 blah. We've been doing this for a while now. You're doing your usual shit, and remember, just remember what Bruce Lee liked to say. I don't fear the man who knows. I don't fear the man who knows 1,000 moves. I fear the man that practice one move 1,000 times, like this template. Okay. So I'm just going with that. Blah blah blah, and well, Okay, so here is the template. You already know this if you watch the masterclass with the idea of the Ember template with the and this blah blah blah. So let's see how I can handle the game. So the sixth card is going to be the Fuwa, and he is deciding not to use it in the draw or the standby because he is rather doing this. He's gonna use the rights. I am allowing it because I have the Caesar. So the Caesar will exchange with the Habakiri or the Mitsuru or whatever he's deciding to add here. And in case he has anything else, I have my Ash Blossom, right? That is why I didn't use the Ash Blossom on the rights. And here is going to reveal that he has the droplet, and he's going to use both the rights and the Fuwa to negate my Yami cycle and the Caesar, which is very annoying against any Mitsurugi bullshit whatsoever, right? So, well, we saw the 1-2, and this card is amazing against that, So here, because of the Gospel, I also have technically all my Yami circulation cut, because, in resolution, I obviously going to make the surprise. Here, I was so tilted that I didn't actually check that blah blah blah. That I didn't actually check that he should have shown me the Mitsurugi mirror instead of the Mitsurugi ritual. Maybe he didn't even play the Mitsurugi mirror and he was just, fucking me over. So, again, you need to remember we are all humans here, and at that point, I don't remember if it was very late or something, but I got tilted by him drawing twice a Habakiri or some version of Habakiri and the Kapsiyami. Well, I didn't know the Kapsiyami at this point, but just for single one, by showing that perfect hand in 60 against my horrible hand in 40, I was kind of tilted, not gonna lie. So here now, I'm gonna get even more tilted because my opponent had the Gospel for my surprise. However, and now that is why here I make yet another mistake. I was so tilted at this point that I just straight up used my Ash Blossom on the Habakiri. I should have waited obviously for the Saji, but what I'm going to do. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm gonna still try to play the game here. So he's going for the Marshmallow, and I'm thinking and at this point I'm thinking, hey, I should have played 60 cards too if I'm gonna draw like this. But there's one big factor that is going to play at my advantage, and it is that usually and most likely a lot of people playing Yami Slop, which means Yami in 60 cards, is because they don't understand at full extent the full value and the full quality of a Yami card, especially because they didn't buy my masterclass, you know? There's a whole section about it here. And because of that, my opponent is going to, at the end, make a big mistake. Here, he's going for the Snatchy. This is not the mistake yet. And here, because I know the Habakiri, like, the last card in his hand should be like a Yami name in order for him to beat me. So here, again, because I'm tilted, I'm just thinking it's 60 cards, there is no way. And even if he draws and even if this last card, is a Yami name, because that Yami name by itself is not going to become 2 Yami monsters, because the Snatch is already being used here, right? And that is why I decided to invest both the SP Little Knight and the Impermanence, so he can have the minion, and in case he has any kind of Yami monster or any kind of way to make a Ling 1, he can be able to play the game regardless, right? So I'm thinking, okay, I think I still can win this, and then he just normal summon the Capsi Yami, because of course, by you playing Yami Slop, you will be rewarded and you will always draw like this, right? But, you know, it is what it is, I insist. Regardless of this, here is when my opponent is going to make a big mistake. And I think that he makes this mistake because he don't understand at full extent the quality of the Yami cards, and especially he don't understand at full extent how to push with the Yami cards in grind games and understand what actually need in specific game states. Because here, he's going to do what usually you do, like the template of Capsi Yami, which is add the Yami surprise, which I think here was a very big mistake, because that is going to expose himself to actually losing the game. Because now you can think of this Yami surprise is going to technically be as the minion, in the sense that is generating another monster, and you will think also that you're still having the Yami surprise as a bounce interruption, right? However, if he is not doing the minion, the Yami monsters won't have enough attack to go against the Capsi Yami way or the High Caesar, which I put in defense, which means that they don't have 14,000, which means that they still have the 1800, which is bigger than 1400, right? Which means that, you know, not that many shit can actually beat it. Even if he goes for the Cookie Yami way, that is 1600. Is bigger than the 1400 Caesaring attack, but thanks to me putting it in defense, he can go over it without the minion. And at that point, what is the actually surprise adding is going to do for you? I'm gonna tell you what it's going to do. Nothing. Because yes, he goes for the anima. Always respect the anima. Imagine if my end board include any monster in any of these zones. Imagine that anima will have been my ass, right? So, you know, always respect that kind of shit. Now he's going for this, and he's going for the Capsi Yami way that he's forced to put in defense because he don't have the minion nor any way to actually get it. So, you know, so here he's going to get 2 Yami names because he can just discard the Habakiri that is useless at this point. And here, imagine that he had the minion right here. With the minion, he could have just beat my ass without any issues, because he just will have made here the Linkuribo, special summon the Cookie, you make the Lollipop Yami way, you revive 2 more, then he will have 4 Yami monsters. With the minion, that will have be 2000 attack each, and he will have guaranteed to get rid all of my monsters by battle, leave a Linkuribo on the field, and even make an SP Little Knight to make sure that I lose the minion or some shit, right? But because he is just thinking mechanically and always having the idea of Capsi Yami adding the Yami surprise, he didn't add the Yamusement minion, and that is going to be a big factor here. Also, you can see that because he's playing this Yami Slop, maybe that he's not understanding the full extent of the value, and instead of doing like what I just told you, now he's going for the Camellia for some weird stupid reason. So he's just going to do all his shit. I can't do anything about it. Blah blah blah. He don't even have 3 spells here, you see? So he's going to go. Okay, so he's thinking about leaving. What? You know, this is weird shit. That is usually what a Yami slot player is going to do, like waste the value of the Yami cards, which is not a crime, obviously, but you can see the big difference in how the Yami approach is made. Like maybe he was even thinking that he need to put Mitsurugi sheet and Asamina sheet because he don't feel that the Yamis are enough, right? When here in this scenario was obviously more than enough to actually beat me. But now here he's just going for what he could have done before, but for some reason he value like the Widow Anchor. Well, it's not a weird reason. I know why he did it, because he's playing Jammy slot. So obviously he's going to make a lot of big mistakes, because he already made a mistake before the duel begin, which is to play Jammy slot. So here now he's in an impossible position of getting rid of my monsters without wasting the Jammy surprise, which at the end of the day refutes the idea of even trying to play the Yami surprise, right? Because the idea of having the surprise instead of the minion is having the surprise as an extra interruption, right? But now he's just forced to use it if he wanna get rid of all my monsters. So now he's just attacking. He can't get over of any of these two fuckers. So he is going to be forced to actually use the surprise, right? So, kind of shitty, right? So here I'm losing my monsters, yes, but who cares? I obviously not using the Lacrima because I only have one Light Fiend, and I rather have obviously Engraver as an extension than making something else. Oh no, sorry, I just got tilted. I just again got tilted. I was still kind of thinking about single one here. We are all humans because I had the Luri here. I should have do it. A mistake on my part. But here the SP is going to come back. You can, because imagine like he will have done the other thing. He will have the Yami circulation with the Synchro and the Snatchy here with a level 1 already, because he will have 4 Yami monsters, like I told you before, right? So, a big mistake here that is going to allow me to just win the duel. So yeah, we drew Ghost Ogre, very nice, like at least for future turns. But we are not going to need it because now we can just go and straight up win the duel. I am just going to normal summon the Kukiyami, and thanks that I have the minion, my Kukiyami is at 2500. My SP is at 1600, so without declaring any effect whatsoever, I can just get rid of my opponent's monsters. I know that this is the Widow Anchor, and I know that this is not a hand trap because it was the Kukiyami that was bounced by the surprise. So now my opponent only has a stupid Widow Anchor, and I have two different ways to play. The Link Kuribo and the Engraver, to just make sure that I go further, right? So here I go with the Link Kuribo. My opponent most likely is thinking this is my only way to make a Link 1 monster, so he's taking it. But now in main phase 2, I can just go with Engraver. Engraver will become my Link 1. And thanks that I have a Link 1, my minion can activate. And I can do all my shit again, right? Like, you can see that even though my opponent draw again a very strong hand, because he is not considering and respecting the big value of the Yami cards, and because he has this eternal template in his head of Capsi Yami adding Yami surprise and nothing but Yami surprise, I could win the duel, So here I have I have a very strong hand, but no way to play but the pot of a slot. So let's see what we can do, right? Here my opponent is starting yet with another engine that he's adding, because for a Slop deck building, it's never enough, because it never will be. Just like you can see here, like Radiant Typhoon, Asamina, Mitsurugi, what the fuck, right? So he now is going to do all his shit. Now he's adding the vision, and here he's the LM. And obviously here is when I'm going to use the full one. Now before they try to do any weird shit. Here he's just going to try to draw. I decided not to Ash Blossom the card. Maybe this was debatable at this point, but again, I think this was a mistake. I think at this point in the game, what other cards would I like to Ash that that I couldn't ogre? Like if he has a Yami name, maybe I was trying to save this for the Capsi Yami way, because at this point I don't know if he has any Yami monster, and because of my prior experience in single 1 and single 2, it was very obvious to me that if he has a Yami monster, it was very likely that he could have one, or that he had already the Capsi Yami, right? So I was making sure to save this for another thing. Maybe that was a mistake, because if he's making the Radiant, it's very likely that this Radiant will give him a Yami monster. So the big lesson here is to not get tilted whenever you have a very strong bad luck, because that will only make you maybe play unoptimally. So here because now thanks to that, he's just going to have the Droll and Lockbear, right? Thankfully for me, this Slop shit is not going to give him any Yami name, because no one can have that strong log 3 singles at the same in the very same match. And even if he did, I could have had kind of decent answers to it, right? So the ogre can check the snatchy or the deception as a minute. So now here he's gonna try to do the deception. Here I was thinking if it was worth it to try to check for more draws, because as you can see I don't have ways to play, but the pot of a slot and the extra draw that I don't still know if it's going to be a starter or not will convince me to not allow them to try to play the game here or leave any kind of negate, because I have the Ghost Ogre already, right? And I'd rather put him in a position when, for example, the Hollow Asamina can recover itself thanks to the El Sete being already in the graveyard and blah blah blah. So I decided just to not put myself in a position when he can do something weird. And now he's just going to pass, setting the droplet. Here the deception is kind of going to play against him, because yes, is a starter that is recovering itself for the next turn, but is also a card on the field, which is strong now in a pot of a slot format, especially when you have a hand like this. Like, what is this, bro? Imagine that I didn't negate the deception. This pot of a slot will have been negated by the Sylvia, and then what? I will have been able to do anything, right? So, I think it was the right choice to use the ogre and avoid any kind of Asamina shenanigans. And here the pot of a slot is going to cover my ass, because I'm going to be able to draw 4 and basically play a different game. Thanks to the slot, now I have 2 different pushes in the Yami and the Sky Striker. So obviously I'm getting back the Mignon and getting back a hand trap, the 2 hand traps. I decided to save the Ash because my idea... I decided to save both the Ashes, because the other hand traps I didn't see them as valuable as any of this as this one. There is an argument, yes, to save the Dominus Spark, I think, but again, I was just still kind of tilted about the big luck that happened before, which is something that you will not allow yourself to be in a position, right? Like, that is just good advice. Everybody is human at the end of the day. It's going to happen to literally everybody, but the less happens to you, the better. So here I'm going to get draw, but thanks to my starters not being a stupid Mitsurugi bullshit, my extender is playing around draw already. Both of my ways to play are able to do their shit, even though I am under the draw. So you can see that this is a big plus for playing clean Yami Asamina for situations like this. Imagine that because I'm playing 60, the starters that I drew were pre-preparation of rights and engage, because I have to play 3 of that shit in a slot version. I will have just lost, because 1 card counters my 2 starters. But here, this draw is almost doing nothing. So here I'm pushing first with the Hornet Drones. The Hornet Drones will give me 2 bodies on the field that I put myself already like since the beginning, and here I am going with the lollipop. I am not using the effect just to try to respect something that might happen, and there's nothing like nothing that big to return. So here I am going for the Reproducus because Reproducus is crazy. It don't even ask for effect monsters. So my idea here is this Lollipop Yamiway will try to go against something that he may have. And after that, if this gets negated or something, I I should be able to just keep playing the game and winning thanks to my Yami thanks to my Reproducus making that Snatchy that was negated or something become how is it called become become the Fiends Mid engine, right? Which again I think it was a mistake. At the moment, I think my idea was to return the hand traps that weren't trap cards to normal summon an Ash, so I can have even a bigger push to play, right? But I think that again, because I was tilted at this moment, I made the mistake of not using it. I think I should have normal summon the Ash if I was going for the Reproducus line just to cover my ass. I think that was also a mistake. Oh no, sorry, my bad. I special summon the Lollipoyami, so even if he has an ogre for my Snatchy, after that ogre I still have an no, that wouldn't have worked. No, yeah, this was just a mistake. I should have go for the Ash Blossom first. So to have the to have the an extra push if he's just going for for the ogre, because then I could have made the Almirage here below. Then with the Lollipop, I could have made a synchro. That sync, and then yeah, I think at least I don't know, but I was under draw, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. It's just kind of late. But the point is that I think I could have. Sorry, guys. I was just rambling a little bit. The point here is that I'm trying to go for the Replodocus here because first the Kagari don't point anything below, and there was no value in trying to use the Kagari with the Lollipop in any synchro because there is no synchro that do absolutely nothing here. The draw negates the Kapsiyami way. Setting these two don't do absolutely nothing for me, and there is no two Yami monsters in the graveyard to use the Lollipop Yami way. So at that point, I rather use the Kagari and the token to make already the Reproducus, so I can have a line below and the extra way of push with the Reproducus becoming the Snatchy a Fiend, so I can go with the Fiend's mid line if the Snatchy gets negated. So here I'm using the Snatchy effect. Yeah, I'm sorry for the rambling, guys. I don't know what will happen. It's very late already. So here the Yami's Minion is going to try to do its job. My opponent is deciding to use the Gospel. So now before trying to do any other weird shit, I'm going to battle to try to, do something. Here he's going to use the Droplet to negate already my Reproducus. So I'm just gonna make sure and get rid of their monsters. Now he only has one set that I know what it is. So as long as I get rid of this deception, I am going to basically win the duel if if any interruption that I leave on the field is enough to be a one-on-one exchange with whatever draw he may have, right? So because I didn't use my normal summon, I decided to save my Reproducus as an extra push for the next turn, and just like after a little time thinking, and just normal summon the Ash, so I can use both of them as a way to just get rid of the deception, right? So yes, I know that the Reproducus can make the SP anything for like a fiend or whatsoever, but if I didn't need to use the SP to banish it itself for whatever reason, I can just normal summon my Ash next turn, go for my and yeah, seeing like shit. Yeah, this was weird. I'm not gonna lie. I think watching this already, I think that maybe save the Ash and use just these two bodies for the SP will have been kind of better. But at the same time, I don't think he can afford, with whatever he may draw, to get rid of the Reproducus without getting rid of the SP Little Knight. So even though it is a weird situation here, a very weird situation, I think this was for the better. Yeah, I think that it was good enough. Yeah, what a weird match now that I'm seeing it. So if you haven't, yeah, what a weird match. Okay, so here what he drew is the Hornetrons, which is not going to do shit, because if he used the Hornetrons to go to recover if he used the Kagari to recover the Hornetrons, I can use the SP to banish both and just win the game, because um, because then, like, the Hornetrons by itself won't do anything. And in my next turn, I can normal summon the Ash, make Almirage in whatever, like whatever the SP is pointing. Then whatever I revive, I can use it for my Kapsiyami way, and then do everything, Fienzmead included, because the Reproducus is still here. So here the Kagari, obviously because of the situation, he is not using the effect and just getting rid of my SP Little Knight, which guarantees me to win the duel regardless of what I draw. And I'm gonna show you, because here I go for the Ash Blossom. Imagine that this was whatever the fuck. The Minion is going to revive the Eniyami. Here I go for the Lollipop directly, because I'm just thinking at this point about winning the duel. I'm reviving these two dipshits. I am making this the Requiem. Like, here at this point, I just want to get over this. Like, I just want to get this done. So I'm just looking, okay, if I do this, it's 8,000. So, because then I can just go and, get enough damage. So you can see how me getting tilted for the very, very good luck that my opponent had in single 1 and single 2 almost could have cost me the game because of some specific decisions. But we could get the W regardless, because of me playing a clean Yami that give me better draws and give me better ways to push in single 3 than his. You can see also how in single 2, because my opponent didn't understand at the full extent the value of the cards that he is putting in his own deck, allow me to win. I should have won that single 2 if he didn't make the mistake of adding the surprise instead of the Minion. But it is what it is, as I like to say. So if you enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your people, and I'll see you tomorrow. Also, don't get tilted in your matches, because you can see what can happen.